folks, Jonathan here. Decided to play around with this big block a little bit. We've got transmission on it. I don't have the torque converter bolted to the flywheel. Don't want to do that until after, we check the engine out and get everything done. Just push the torque converter back into the front pump a little bit, that way it don't hit anything, and you're fine. I went ahead and put plugs in it. I painted over the old plugs, put a new set in it. I bolted the carburetor on. This is a Holly 600 that I had that come off an old Ford 370 engine that was in a tandem axle gas dump truck, an old one. So I think it had a 370 or something in it, truck motor. But first thing we're going to do, I just now hooked the battery up. I haven't even hit it. This is a starter that was on the engine, and I changed the nose cone to a 2-bolt from the old style 3-bolt. I'm going to see if she rolls over here. She does. Don't sound the best on the flywheel, but at one spot it kind of sounds bad. We're going to have to check that out. Be a good time to change it if it's got a bad spot on it. And but it does roll over. I'm going to show you everybody how to set the timing on this. I don't have a timing mark whatsoever on the harmonic balancer on the front. It's got the line on the harmonic balancer, but as you can see, the tabs broke off, and the balancer that was on this was bad, and Ray had given me a balancer for it, and we put it on it. So I didn't have a timing tab, and I didn't stick one on it, and I'm just going to time it by ear once I get it started anyway. But I'm going to show you how to get one of these on number one, get it in time real easy and real quick without worrying about a timing mark and a bunch of special tools, anything like that. And a lot of people should already know this, but some of the younger people out there might not know. And first thing you do, pull number one spark plug. On Chevrolet, you got 1, 3, 5, and 7 on this side, 2, 4, 6, and 8 on this side. And so pull your number one spark plug out first, and I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay folks, number one spark plug's out. No fancy push buttons here. We're just going to use the old jumper cables I hooked. You don't matter which way you hook them, but I hooked the positive to the positive on the battery, and I actually hooked the negative to the small terminal on the solenoid. Now on a Chevrolet, it's always going to be the one on the inside, and if it's a Buick, Olds, Pontiac, Cadillac, it's going to be on the inside, well, the outside of the other side. It's going to be the same post, but starters on the opposite sides on them. Okay, and we'll test it first here. All we want to do is tap it. That's all we're doing, and you can watch the crank. Just move it just a little bit. I hear one bad spot on that flywheel, I think. So we may be changing that. That was one I had, and I probably didn't look at it good. But anyway, so what we're going to do is tap it. I'm going to try to set the camera up here where I can show you what I'm doing. Okay. Number one spark plug hole. I'm not trying to touch the piston. I'm just putting my finger over the hole and sealing it off for no air leaks. And then you tap it. And as you can hear it, hissing, and it actually blows your finger off or blows the air past your finger. And I'm going to go ahead around again and show you again. And just touch it on there and then just keep tapping it. Right there. Okay, where that turns at, that's actually number one. And you're not 180 out because it's on compression stroke. And if you was 180 out, the piston will be at the top, but it wouldn't be on compression stroke. And a little trick here, I'm going to grab a screwdriver and just show you something you can do. You don't have to, but it's one way of checking it out. Okay. So what we do is we take the screwdriver and we stick it in there, and you can actually move it around and you can feel the top of the piston. So then what you want to do, I'm going to try it with this little 3/8 ratchet. It might work, might not work. The engine's pretty tight, it might not. But just want to turn the engine. I'm turning it now. And you'll be able to feel the piston. You don't want to jam the screwdriver in there at all, but you'll feel the piston either moving up or moving down. And you just want to turn it. I think it started back down. I'm not using the best ratchet. You need Need a breaker bar on it, but it's getting dark on me and I'm kind of in a hurry. So. Alright, I felt it going down, so now I want to back the engine back up until I feel it come back up. It should be right there on top. That's about where it started down at. So as long as that piston is up, we know we're on number one. We're not 180 degrees out. And what we can do now, we're not dropping the distributor in, it was already in. But it really don't matter where you put the distributor at. And the reason I say that, it don't matter which one you point it to. And because we're going to start number one wherever this thing's at. I don't know where it's at yet, but wherever it's pointing, that's where number one's going to be. Could be a factory setting, could be somebody just stuck the distributor in. But it's already in, it's already down in the oil pump, so that's where we're going to call it at. Now this is usually, the one that's off, I'm pretty sure it's usually where number one's at from a factory on a you know, HEI distributor. But, and that's exactly where it's pointing. So we know that that's number one already, so we don't have to really do anything. And then we know that a Chevrolet turns clockwise. And we know the firing order is 1843657 so you just start out at 1. This will go to spark plug number 1, which will be the front on that side. This will be 8, so this will go to the back spark plug on this side. This will be 4, so it goes to the second one back on that side, and just keep going around. 1843657 and just run your wires where you need to run them to. And you know, the manifold is actually numbered, you know, 1357 on this side, 246 and 8 on the other side. And the reason I do that is if you look, this head is farther forward than this head. And this is actually the first cylinder, first piston on the crankshaft. And this over here is actually the second one. It goes on the same journal beside it. And it just keeps going that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, 7, 8, all the way back on the crankshaft. So they're actually in order on the crankshaft. But when you come here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across. But pretty simple. I mean, there's nothing to it. It works the same on all engines. Roll it up on number one, find where it's pointing at, or put the distributor in where you want it to point at. That's totally up to you. I mean, we could take the distributor out and point it back here, and this could be our number one. We can start here, 1, 8, 4, 3, all the way around. But since it's already pointing toward here, that may be why I pulled the plug wire off. I don't remember. And you know, but that's the important part, is you start number one where it needs to be started, and always make sure you're right the proper rotation, because you know, some engines could turn counterclockwise. 4-cylinder tractor engines, you know, stuff like that, it's going to turn counterclockwise on some. So you would just do the opposite. You know, it'd be, instead of being 1, 8, 4, it'd be this way, 1, 8, 4, back the other way. You just go by the firing order. And you know, on a 4-cylinder engine, the cylinders are 1, 2, 3, 4 from the front to the back. So really easy to time an engine. Not a problem at all. And this is, you know, spark timing, of course. This is not valve timing. You know, valve timing is timing gear and chain, so completely different. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing wired up, and we can run a wire to it and run some fuel to it. I'm going to try to look at that flywheel. Hope there's not a bad, I'm sure there's a bad spot on it. This is one I had in the shop, so it might have been bad to start with, and I just put it on there, but won't be a problem. Change it out. Alright, let me see what we can do, and we're going to try to fire this thing up and just see if it'll run. Alright, show you more. Alright folks, got it wired up, got power to the distributor, and these HEIs are easy, just one wire to the battery side. Tack side on this side, you can run straight to the tack. But I'm just going to shoot a little gas in the carburetor and just hit it one time, just see if it does anything at all, which I'm sure it will, but hopefully it won't fall over. We don't need that for sure. I can get you back a little bit. Got a couple vacuum leaks to plug off, and I may throw the manifolds on it real quick and just throw a couple bolts in them to keep it from running with nothing on it anyway. Alright. Okay folks, I have played with it a little bit. Our timing's good. Changed the carburetor out. You know, I'm not big on Hollies, mostly because I actually used to work at Carter Weber. And now I didn't build the carburetors. I actually worked in reman. I used to remanufacture carburetors. This particular one is a 625 CFM. It's part of the Carter competition series that they made. This was actually made just for a Ford. It's got the kick down, as you can see, and good carburetors. The only difference between this and an Edelbrock carburetor is the Edelbrock's polished, and they used to run it through a tumbler with little tiny stainless balls, and that's how they polished them. And the Carter carburetors wasn't, which exact same carburetor, come off the same line. Seen them built, so you know, I know that for sure. Vic Edelbrock come from California and made a deal with them to build the Edelbrocks, and currently they're not building any carburetors. Edelbrock bought everything out that had to do with the Carter AFBs, and so they're now doing them here in Sanford, North Carolina, not far from me, but they're doing them themselves. And so, you know, Vic is a real good guy, and he's real big on American made. And you know, a lot of people may not know Carter Weber. It became TGI, and then it became Magneti Marelli is what it is now. They're actually an Italian company, and so he actually, by buying out everything, you know, turned it all back into being an American product. You know, Edelbrock's a good company, good people. So anyway, we'll go ahead and fire it up here and show you that it runs. Now this is a $25 Craigslist carburetor I bought. I'll get you set up here. Alright, I think that's it. We're not smoking, don't want to run any more now, don't want to get hot. I think it's good to go. I think it's going to be a heck of an engine and a little light Willys truck. So we'll just do all the other little stuff we need to do. That's enough firing up. We know the transmission's good, it's new, so should be good to go. A little bit more adjusting on the carburetor. Run a little bit rich at idle, but no big deal. I can, you know, build it or whatever I need to do. I actually bought it for $25 and bolted it on. Didn't do anything to it. So, you know, they're simple to work on. And anyway, till next time. Bye.